Good Packer Nation morning, guys and dolls. It is Tuesday morning, and I don't know what's on your mind, but injuries are on my mind. Also, some comments about what the Packers coaches have been saying about this team, and some commentary on that for you today. We also have power rankings out, which I want to chat about just real quick, and maybe a little bit of therapy out there for you, I'm hoping, at the end of this show, because I want to try and find a bright spot. So let me know who you are and where you're coming at me from as we get started today, if all my regulars are out there. Packers now 4-5. Things not looking good, partly because this is a team that needs to get back on their feet, and then the injury situation only makes it worse. Hector is here. Good to see you, buddy. Terry and Nancy as well. Sad Nancy from Iowa. I know, it's tough. Hopefully I can make it a little bit better by the end of the show. Maurice is here, and Bryce and Melissa as well from West Virginia. Good to see you guys. It's me, Brady, from Cincinnati. All right. Hey, Annette, how you doing? Good to see you. From Cincinnati, I roll up your way once in a while on my way back home. Seattle is represented by Del King out there, and Tim Welch. Chad Peter Vargas is here from North Carolina, and Steve says the Pack is in big trouble right now. My buddy Phil is out there as well, and Anthony and Andrew. So, guys, let's go ahead and I'm gonna preface the commentary on the team itself with a little bit of commentary on the injury situation. And for crying out loud, I mean, number one, we just played fundamentally bad football. And then Chad's here from Iowa. Mitchie from Orlando. Mishi, is that? We played fundamentally bad football. We lose Jake Ryan, and who knows how long. We lose TJ Lang, and we lose David Bakhtiari. I mean, it is just getting rougher all the time. The fact of the matter is, coaches, players, you can't ever use injury as an excuse. However, we as fans, we can sit and we can honestly and realistically look at this injury situation. And I don't know what kind of team we can even field at this point. We can't get a running mate. We finally got James Starks back. We couldn't run the ball because we were behind by so many points that running the ball was pretty much out of the question from the second quarter on. Billy is here from La Crosse, Wisconsin, my mom's hometown. I grew up in Black River Falls. Billy, good to have you on. So this is going to be a rough run. Now we've got a difficult part in the schedule. We're on a road trip, 3-game road trip. We've already dropped one. We got 2 more to go. NFC East competition. Washington and Philadelphia. Doesn't get any easier, both away. And this morning I caught on Green Bay's talk radio that at 4-5, statistically speaking, the Packers' chances of the playoffs right now stand at 12%. If we lose this week, it drops down to 6%. If we win, I think it goes up into the 20s. Obviously, anything can still happen. This is football. We know. That's why you play the game. Marquez says they're done. And it's hard to see this team really getting back on its feet with the injury situation. If the injury situation wasn't as it is, then I could see this team regrouping, because we talked about one of the one good thing, I guess, shining light. No, it's not a shining light. It's maybe a small pinpoint of light at the end of a very dark tunnel when you play. And this was a crappy game. This is the one thing I don't like about what the coaches have been saying. I like coaches. Any leader, if you have had to lead a company before, like me, you know this. The last thing you do is panic. And that's exactly what the coaches are saying. Panic does you no good. All the fans can panic. The coaches cannot. It just doesn't work that way when you're a leader. Now, you can lose your job perhaps at the end of the season if you don't right the ship, but you do not panic, period. And so I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is none of these coaches. I mean, they beat around the bush a little bit. What I would have give me a thumbs up right now if you would have just liked to seen Coach McCarthy or Dom Capers get up there and say, we played a crappy game. It was unacceptable. I mean, we heard him say we didn't make enough of the plays, adversity plays, and we gave up too many, big plays. I don't want to hear that. That's a company line. I want this coaching staff to actually be a little bit pissed off when their team goes out and lays an egg. A little bit of emotion. It's not a bad thing. Now, I'm not saying panic, and I'm not saying go freaking flying off the handle, I'm not saying do a green out there. But I am saying show a little bit of respect for us as the football watching fan base to say we played a crappy game. And I'm going to be doing everything I can, spending extra hours getting this turned around. Because it was an absolutely atrocious performance. And that's exactly what it was. There's no two ways about it. So with that said, we had some interesting, the coaches got their interviews done. I've really enjoyed that, McCarthy and his staff have gotten on. I've liked actually the assistant coaches, et cetera, et cetera. Those interviews to me are a lot more informative than Mike McCarthy. He spends most of his interview time sort of dancing, to be quite honest. He was defensive this time around because the questions are starting to get pretty personal now, and he knows what the pressure is. But he stood up for himself. I mean, I expect that out of the man. Steve says time to change up the GM. But here's the deal. Okay, so let's step back for a moment from, all the calamity. Ron Zook got on there. Ron Zook got on and talked about the Trevor Davis muffed punt. And this is what I said during this play. When you fair catch a ball, you are allowed to muff that ball to the ground, and you are protected on a muff on a fair catch until that ball touches the ground. And I said that should have been a flag thrown, and Zook went back to the tape. He said we blew it up. Obviously, it was a close call. He called it up one of these bang bang plays. But you are allowed to muff the ball to the ground when you fair catch. You are protected until you hit the ground. Hi, Trent. Trent reminded me I better get the Precious on this morning. I'm going to be wearing it as much as I can before somebody takes it away from me. Gordon is saying, have to see how we are at full strength first. Let's not freak out. Just, but we'll never be at full strength. This is the problem, Gordon, is not only are we really struggling, we were starting to get a little bit healthier, but then in the Titans game, we played poorly, which, this tends to happen. But then we lost Jake Ryan, we lost TJ Lang, and those two look like they might be, I hate to say it, but extended injuries. Bakhtiari goes out. Who knows what his knee situation is. So this is going to be a real tough one. And I got to tell you, if this team finds a way to turn it around, I will be on here giving respect and credit where credit is due. And I know all you guys will too, because it's a tough uphill climb that we've got right now. There's no two ways about it. But I may go off script because I wanted to have a little bit of, I wanted you guys to have, hopefully, a little bit of therapy this morning. Guys, we are Packer fans. When you cut us, we bleed green and gold, right? Am I right? The angst in Packer Nation is because the team's not playing well. Is because the team, to some extent, it's like the fates have decreed that the Packers will be injured every year this way. And but we are Packer fans, all right? Now, what I am looking at, and you can mark my words on this, guys, and especially when everybody calls for McCarthy's head or GM's head, the team, let me draw an analogy to the Roman Empire. The success of the Roman Empire can be directly equated to emperors who had extended reigns, okay? Leadership that is stable is extremely important. Now, you have heard me call McCarthy out at this point too. I'm not against it, but we have to be careful because this is why I asked the question, who are we going to hire if we get rid of McCarthy, or who are we going to hire if we get rid of Ted Thompson? Because things can fall apart very fast. When you have a season that looks like it's going the way ours is, we could very quickly find ourselves plunged back into the 80s, or the 50s for that matter, on this team. So one thing I wanted to mention is, and I am basically a product of the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers Packers. I mean, I know about the 80s. But I wasn't like I wasn't a true grown-up, mature fan of the Packers at that time. And there are some of you out there that went through those years. I didn't have to go through the 50s. But there are some, before Vince Lombardi came along, folks, but there are some of those of you out there who went through those years. Derek says Brady for head coach. I would screw us so bad, man. I'd be like, no, I'd be motivational. And heck, I mean, for crying out loud, I might have to, Mike McCarthy might have to put a helmet on play here pretty soon. But I just want to let everybody know that I know it doesn't feel like this, and you're going to want to reach out and angry face me or whatever, but it could be worse, guys. It really and truly could. I'm not sugarcoating what's going on. I'm not saying I like it, but I am saying we got to be careful what we do moving forward. And that said, here's the therapy, and I think you guys can get on board with me right now because I know every last one of you is a Packer fan. Here come the angry faces. But I know you can get on board with me. The fact that as fans, I think our job right now is to get behind this team, not to jump the bandwagon, but to get on it. Not that we can go out and play the game for him. We can't coach for McCarthy. We can still be upset with the way things are going, but as fans, does anybody out there have a heart for me that you are going to that you're on the bandwagon? You are still a fan. I just need to know this right now, that there are still fans out in Packer Nation because there's so much negativity. But I'll tell you one thing, this is my team. And when they are getting beat up and torn down, I mean, ligaments are snapping, ankles are twisting out there. I am a Packer fan. You cut me, I bleed green and gold. I am not a die-hard fan. I am a die-never fan. This is a tough, tough time. And there's an interesting, for those of you who are going to be at the game this week, there's an interesting scientific little sociological twist I want to put on this. Because if any of you have heard of a thing called mirror neurons, there is a principle that whatever I feel in some almost magical way is projected to those around me in close proximity, right? So carry this out because I know there are some fans out there right now listening that are going to be at this game. And I want to challenge you guys and all of Packer Nation to be on board with this team, regardless of whether we think they're playing, but to get back on board. I know it's only Tuesday, and I know that, you can predict whether we win, you can predict whether we lose, but be on board because our team needs us right now. And they need us more than just knuckle bumping Sherm the creepy caddy, wearing your lucky underwear, having the correct jacket or hat on. All right? They need us right now. Right? That's one thing I think everyone out there can thumbs up me and agree that if there was ever a time in most of our lifetimes where the Packers really need us to support them, there's only so much we can do. But this is a time that really need us to support them, okay? So I am here to say, win, lose, draw, in the good times, in the bad times, this is the only team that allows its fans to buy stock and feel ownership in the way that we do. This is the only publicly traded team out there. This is the smallest market in the NFL out there. This is the team that is up against it every single year. But we are very fortunate to have had two extremely great quarterbacks in a row, two of them, in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Now, and I know Aaron Rodgers has not played perfectly either, but he has been turning it on. And I, for one, am going to be standing up for my team. And it just, I can't do it any other way right now. And here's what the thing is. I think it's a rubber band effect. Does any of you out there, it's so many things are going against us right now. Probably the best thing that could happen to us this week is maybe we get Jared Cook back. But we're expecting to hear bad news. Tomorrow injury report comes out. And I'm not expecting TJ Lang to play. I'm not expecting Jake Ryan to play. I was just getting ready to get on this very show and talk about how great it was to have an inside linebacker leading our tackling rather than a cornerback or a safety. And then boom, he's gone. He's probably unavailable. But these are the times that try men's souls, right? You guys know the quote, we are not sunshine soldiers, not in Packer Nation. We leave that to the Minnesota Viking fans. We leave that to the Bears fans. We'll leave that to the other fans. Now, we talk realistically about what the team is doing. We get hard on them at times. So do the coaches. We get hard on the coaches at times. Mike says, support a bunch of millionaires that aren't doing their jobs. Yes, because I'm a fan. So, and you have the right not to be, but I'm not on that. And I know a lot of people are behind me on this. Yeah, they're millionaires. And they also can take one hit and lose their job and not be able to do it again, And they also work very, very hard to be the kind of athletes that they are. Some high quality H2O. And I know, thank you, Brian. Brian is out there. He's bringing the scotch back into it. Maybe it'll help. Because again, whiskey drinker to a milk drinker, that's the quote I brought into it. So from way, way back. All right, well, guys, coach's notes I wanted to talk about a little bit. Zook talked about the muffed punt. That he, again, on a fair catch, you are protected all the way to the ground. The ball has to touch the ground. You're protected. That did not happen in that play. But here's the other thing I wanted to mention. For those of you who pay attention to this show from the preseason on, from training camp in particular, when I got on, and the name of the show was the most boneheaded move yet in training camp, and that was when we dumped both of the punters that had been working with Mason Crosby, and one of which had every single punting record in Packer history, and we brought Jacob Shum on. And I said, the problem is not, that he's going to be a bad punter. He's actually improved as a punter. He had that nice drop on the just the 2-yard line. We weren't quite able to bring it in. But I said, watch him mishold a kick. And when we need it, Mason Crosby's going to miss a kick. Mason Crosby's going to everybody's going to want to can Mason Crosby, and it's not going to be Crosby's fault. It's going to be Shum's. Go back and read what Zook talked about. The ball was misplaced and a quarter turn off, and Shum needs to go back to the drawing board and learn how to hold a kick. Shum is doing fine in the punting game. He is not adequate, like I said, before when we brought him on. That he's going to blow it in the field goal game or the extra point game. And he could very well lose us a game. That's what I was concerned about. That's exactly what happened. If you have any questions, go ask the coach who coaches him every day, who's got him on the sideline practicing this. Now, the good news is this happened in a game that we were blowing in every single possible phase. We weren't going to win it anyway. So now they have a chance to do the corrections and hopefully can, in fact, avoid the problem that I see moving forward, and that is what happens when we need a field goal to win it. This is what I predicted. I said, you watch. And now, it didn't happen in a situation where the game was on the line, thank goodness, because that means there's a chance for him to get it corrected. Jeff remembers. Thank you. But I do want to emphasize the fact that I'm glad that his coach is willing to admit it, and he is willing to practice it. And so it happened in a situation that wasn't critical in terms of, we weren't going to win the game anyway. So now they have a chance to get it corrected. I see the comment, Mike McCarthy's, this was another coach's notes I want to talk about, Mike McCarthy's press conference, in which he said he's not worried about the team. Of course he's going to say that. He's worried about his job. He's worried about the injury situation, and he's worried that he can't win a game. He's focused on trying to do that, but he's up against the wall. There's no question about it. As a head coach right now, Mike McCarthy is in a rough spot. It's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. He's got to be so creative with personnel packages to try and have the best players he can get on the field because he's missing starters. But the problem is, what are we going to do now? I think, you look at this Washington game, and it does not look pretty. And yeah, Brian is mentioning this is his subtle defense. I always read between the lines, and I'm fairly good at this. But he was making the point that he is a very successful coach in the NFL. The reason he's doing that is because he is catching the backhanded criticism that's coming his way, that he's not having the success that he needs to have to keep his job, is basically what he's doing. And politically correct, big dog, that's a pretty good way to put it. Again, a head coach can't afford to panic, but I would like to see some things a little bit more straight up from him right now. So yeah, he's supposedly, not worried about the team. And part of what he's mentioning when he says he's not worried about the team is he feels like the team is still, the glue is still holding together. They still believe in each other, is part of the comment he's making there. So Daniel has, I got one word for you, pride. They need to start playing with pride. That is what I'm most disappointed in. And I agree, Daniel. You know, that because, you know, you put the game, that Tennessee Titans game was an embarrassment, you know. So, you know, they have one more chance to go out there and do it. Just remember, about 3 weeks ago, we were talking about a loss that we had more pride in the loss against Atlanta, frankly, than I had in maybe the win against Detroit or Chicago. So these things, they ebb and flow very quickly. The biggest concern I have is that we had 3 more significant injuries, and we don't know who we're getting back. So, yeah, this team has a lot to get corrected, and it starts at the top right now, without a doubt. Trevor is calling Gruden. You can thumbs up that. His name has been, you know, thrown out there a lot. He's familiar with the team, without a doubt. He would not be the type that doesn't bring any fire. But, yeah. Okay, well, every time the power rankings come out, I just can't help but read them, because the Packers are now 21st on the list, and I think they dropped like 9 more spots. I mean, and the comment that Elliot Harrison made, and I like how he's tongue-in-cheek in this thing all the time, because he gets so much crap for it, right? But the comment he made was, I cannot figure this team out. I can't figure this group out. Because like 2 weeks ago, he was just standing up for him, because look at what they did against Atlanta. They played some pretty good ball. And I think that reflects Packer Nation right now. We can't figure this group out. We don't know what you're going to get. And then the Titans game comes along, and we played fundamentally bad football. I mean, I'm going to tell a story that illustrates fundamentally bad football. And I don't know if my buddy Rick will remember if Garth is out there, Cigar Soldier is out there, if Zach Thundercloud is out there. You guys will all remember Coach Rosine, the head coach of the high school football team. Good coach. But he was the middle school principal. I was in middle school on the playground playing black top ball, guys, you know, touch football, which we played in the snow. I mean, you guys know. And I think it was Zach Thundercloud kicked the ball off. It was a kickoff, and I fielded it. And I heard from behind me, keep your elbows together. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know anybody was behind me, right? And I turned around, and it's Coach Rosine, Principal Rosine. And he said, keep your elbows together when you field that. If you keep your elbows, the hole between your elbows is smaller than the ball, you'll never drop a ball. And he's right. So I'm going back to the Trevor Davis. That should have never been muffed in the first place, but it exemplifies that I don't know if this team just thinks it's too good to play fundamental football. Look at the tackling out there. I mean, the tackling was atrocious. Look at the hole that you could drive a truck through. DeMarco Murray could have crawled into the end zone. It was so huge. So these are the things that where I start leaning that this coaching staff needs to stop towing a party line and start being a little bit real with us right now. Arturo has a bold prediction for everybody right now, and you guys can emoji your response, but predicting the Packers to win. Who's with Arturo right now? You can thumbs up, heart that if you agree, or give an angry face if you think that we're going to drop another one, and it's going to be a downward spiral perhaps from there on out. I know there are some out there that and realistically, we've got to look at this Washington Redskins game and really truly wonder if this Packers team can get it done. We don't even know who's going to be available. And that doesn't mean I'm not a fan. I will be cheering for this team. I'll sit right back where I did last week. And last week pushed me, to be quite honest, because I hate it when the team just plays fundamentally bad football. And we don't. And that's one thing that it's a pet peeve of mine. And it is for a lot of guys that played a little bit, but either like in my case by injury, I never got to see the field again. And you look back and there's a lot of us out there, and you guys can give me a heart for this if you're one of my boys right now, that you would give just about anything to step on the field healthy and be able to just run full tilt and just play this game one more time. And it's kind of hard and painful to watch and we had the comment about these guys are millionaires. They're making good money, obviously. And it's rough, man. It pushes. It gets under your craw a little bit to see them just play kind of bad football, And again, I don't want to sound like I'm wishy-washy because I'm a total fan. I'm gonna be cheering them on just like I did all through the second half. And guys, listen, the defense, I mean, for crying out loud, the defense gave up 12 points in the second half. And they almost dropped the 50 burger on us. So our second half adjustments on defense showed a little bit of light. Our offense at times showed a little bit of light. So I did want to talk about in terms of therapy as well today, not just to rah-rah the team and say, I am going to be on your side regardless, because I'm a fan. Jared says he'd play for a case of beer. I think, yeah, Foster's, or what's the going, or is that just, Foster's probably is the stuff that maybe Australia doesn't want, and they just ship it over here because we'll drink anything? I don't know. But Charles says, stay positive. We'll win Sunday, and we're only still one game back. And okay, that is the situation. I think if you're realistic about the team right now, the injury situation makes me wonder if we're going to be able to truly, really turn things around to where all of a sudden we flip a switch and we're back to some kind of, sort of dominance or anything like that. However, this is also a team that in 2010 scratched and clawed, and Dom Capers mentioned it this week. It's a different situation altogether, but they are a team they are familiar with scratching, clawing their way back into things from time to time. Yeah, see, I wondered if that wasn't true, Jared, about Foster's. And you guys probably have some great micros around there too, by the way, so I'll have to fly down and check some out one of these days. But back to Packers football. Andrea misses Sam Shields. Yeah, and I'm not sure. We can pull one guy off IR. I'm expecting that to be Eddie Lacy. We will see what happens, because I think we have more guys that we're going to see returning in the defensive backfield. So I would expect Eddie Lacy to be the call if he's ready, and Sam Shields perhaps to not be playing for the Packers again. With all of the concussions, it just seems like it may be rough. Fidel Rosales says, "Go Pack Go" from Doha, Qatar. Excellent. Glad to have you aboard. And if you are in the military, and that is why, I don't know if you're just working over there or what, but we thank you for your service if you are in the military, of course. And hope you have a great day. Joey says Sam is done, and his health to me is the most important thing. His family is going to need him more than Packer Nation. Obviously, you have to move on from players from time to time. I'd rather move on and let him be healthy going forward, because those are serious injuries. And that's why, like I've mentioned before, the coaches are coaching tackling different. And frankly, in the game against the Titans, I said I would have quit doing what they told me, and I would have risked a concussion just to hit somebody right, just to play some good football out there. That was obviously my feeling on the thing, yeah. So Sam, we don't expect to see back. I thought Eddie Lacy was playing good football, and I think we need him. Because so this is what I wanted to get into, my thoughts on the Washington Redskins game, and I'm going no shave in November, and I hate that I'm scratching this all the time, but I will probably shave it immediately after November because I just don't like beards. I don't know what the deal is. I like how they look okay, but anyway. Guys, I think Aaron Rodgers is hitting his stride a little bit, because he finally came to grips with the fact that there is no way he is going to survive holding the ball for 5 to 7 seconds. We have dropped that rate down a little bit. His percentage is up. We're starting to score some touchdowns. I think we have to go with this quick out, short pass game for a little bit, and we're going to have to run the ball at some point. The game against the Titans, we were not able to play call our game because we were behind by so many points from so early on. Mike McCarthy mentioned this in the press conference, that his card looked completely different than what he thought he was going to have going into the game against the Titans. We played from behind for 90% of that game. We never had a chance. In this game, we are going to have to, manage the clock a little bit. Now, by throwing the ball, and I'm hoping we can mix in some no huddle to get our receivers on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. To see, and we cannot, our offensive line is starting to break down. We are subject to injuries. We've got Treader already out. I don't expect TJ Lang. I don't expect Bakhtiari, to be quite honest. We are not going to be able to play the same kind of drop back 5 and 7 step drop football. It is off the table as far as I'm concerned, except for a few plays here and there when the defense doesn't bring the pressure. We see maybe a 3-man or a 4-man pressure that we think we can handle. We might have a shot play or two. But we have got to throw the ball. It's got to come out quickly. And then we've got to find a way to develop some kind of a running game and not play from behind. Clock management is going to be incredibly important in this game. Our defense is decimated as well. We are going to have to take up some time, and we're going to have to, when we get to the red zone, we're going to have to put the ball in the end zone. And this has been, we've had these flashes where we have moved the ball. I don't know what to say. We move the ball like we're going through defenses like a sieve. And then we stall out in the red zone and we have to kick a field goal. We cannot afford that anymore. And Daniel, I'm going to get to your comment on Matthews in a little bit. And that's the reason is I am not even sure we're going to get Clay Matthews back. If they put him back in, is he going to be able to stay healthy? This defense is by no means the same. When Clay Matthews is out, our pressure has dried up. And we know that. There is no question about it. We've had, 2 sacks in the last, 3 games or whatever it was. So our defense, I don't think is, I think our defense can't be counted on at this point. Not for a little bit until they can get some things together. Maybe Mike Daniels gets out there and gets back to sort of his dominant ways. But without Clay Matthews, all of the rest of our pressure is the beneficiary of having a Clay Matthews on the field. I guarantee you. When you have a guy like that just absolutely demands what Clay Matthews demands, a guy who can take a running back down from behind by beating him along the line, running back, as soon as they see a hole and accelerate to full speed, these guys are generally faster than linebackers, but not, Clay Matthews can run these boys down from behind. And, he is, you watch, if he gets out there and he's healthy, our defense will change dramatically. And yeah, maybe he plays this week. I'm a little concerned about if he's still on a borderline where and Rick says, who cares? I care. If Clay Matthews gets back on the field, we have a chance to turn this thing around. He's as important as anyone. Him and Jake Ryan. Jake Ryan is outplaying Blake Martinez about 10-1 right now. Blake Martinez faded fast, and Jake Ryan was the man we needed. One of the most devastating injuries that we've had right now is Jake Ryan. And he will not get that credit for it. But having Jake Ryan and Clay Matthews healthy is extremely important going forward if we're going to be able to come back into this thing. And like I've said before, you won't ever catch me getting on here saying it doesn't matter or just give up or play for a draft pick. Not ever going to hear that from me. We're going to go out there and we're going to play to win. I don't care what the circumstances are. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play to win a game. And Clay Matthews is a huge part of that. You see our pass rush completely disappear. What's the one name you can name that changed when our pass rush disappeared? The name is Clay Matthews. He's the one superstar we got on defense. Julius Peppers is fading. Julius Peppers is better when he plays less snaps. That's why we have him in the situation we do, and we've been putting Nick Perry in as the starter. And thank you, Bryce. Yes, you play to win every week. It always matters. And I don't give a cuss about what our record is. I don't give a cuss about what the NFC North standings are. When you step foot on the field and you wear the green and gold, you play to win, period. If you go out there and if there's a least inkling in your heart of not playing to win as a Green Bay Packer when you set foot on that field, Vince Lombardi will crawl in and pull your soul out of your body and send it to an early grave, and you will be a deflated mass that they just drag off the field. It doesn't happen when you're a Packer fan, and it certainly doesn't happen when you're a Packer player. You don't ever do that. You don't ever think that. So that's the mic drop for today. And not ever Never, ever. If you watch NFL Network at all. So that's my thinking on that. And you watch what happens when Clay Matthews goes in. Our sack total will double. Guarantee it. Write it down. It's not even a bold prediction. It's just a fact. Because we know that Clay Matthews is the reason that Julius Peppers has the success he has to some extent. To some extent, he's a different kind of an animal. Clay Matthews is the reason Nick Perry, finally healthy, is going out there and having a good season. But notice he's been a complete non-factor, completely a non-factor since Clay Matthews wasn't able to play. Sherry says, you said it, rise up, Packers, pride, pride, pride. That's right. And Connor's saying the O-line is the biggest concern right now. And I agree. Losing Jake Ryan was critical. It really was. Look at what happened to our defense. Clay Matthews coming back is important. But losing our offensive line, that is the biggest disappointment so far, because that was the one thing that if your front offensive line can hold up and you have Aaron Rodgers, with whoever you rotate in, you've got a chance at that point. And now, the offensive line is going to be, I think, I didn't see who it was, but asking who is my second team, there is no second team for me. If I'm reading the question right, like some people have, I'm a Packer fan, but my second team is this. There is no second team for me. There is no second team. So that's a good question. A lot of people have one. Absolutely not. If I had a second team, it would be the Badgers football team. That's my second team. There is no other team in the NFL but the Green Bay Packers. None. Never had. Maybe when I was a kid. You know how when you're a kid, you're kind of developing there's certain things that happen that kind of lock you into who you're really going to be a fan of long term. And we've seen this. My nephew was the same way. He was a fan of a different team, for a while. And then, you watch a team and you start to learn about the history. And then, our fandom has to develop its own identity, kind of like we develop our identity in adolescence, right? But there is no other team for me. You won't ever hear me. In fact, even when a team can help the Packers out, I usually will say that I'm rooting against their opponent rather than that I'm rooting for them. Vanessa says, yes, go Badgers. Hey, so, for those of you who are Badgers fans, we could get a little love for that. They're playing good ball right now. And, as Packer fans, we're looking for something. We're looking for a light at the end of this tunnel right now. So, Robert says, same here. Go Brothers, Packers for life. Yeah. Well, we got an Alabama fan on, so I bet you're an Eddie Lacy fan then, too. I want Eddie Lacy to come back, hopefully, off the IR list here. Virginia says, second team. Is that a thing? But, yeah, a lot of people have them. I just can't do it. And it's the same reason, like we've been talking about this game that's coming out, where you get to play with the Packers for a change. I don't play fantasy. Fantasy, to me, might be a lot of fun, but I just refuse to do it. I've refused to do it every single year, because I am not going to pick players from another team. So if you don't want to pick players from another team and you want to play live with the Packers, here's the ad for the day. Go to firefan.com, sign up with my code, Get the Ring. You just put in Get the Ring, all one word. It'll ask you who your favorite team is. You put in Green Bay Packers. You're going to get to play along. It's coming in just a few days, guys. It's coming soon over Thanksgiving. And you're going to get to play with the Packers. You're going to get to earn some real nice stuff too. And the winner of my league gets the precious, the ring. All right. Okay. Packers for life, brother. That away, Sean. Yeah, guys. And to close the show, I don't. You know me. I don't get up here and sugarcoat the bad stuff. We talk about how Mike McCarthy, he better be concerned for his job right now. And Mike McCarthy, I'd like to see him showing a little more. I don't want to see panic ever in a leader. I see panic in a leader. That's a red flag for me every single time. But I would like to see a little more emotion about how this team is playing right now and how he's coaching, because it's his team. I'm honest, about the injury situation. It's difficult. It's a tough road to hoe for these guys. And then you look at the schedule, right? You add all these together, and as football fans, we know this isn't going to be easy. But the one thing I will close the show with, and again, what if there were no hypothetical questions? Because it starts with if. What if there were no hypothetical questions, right? If the Packers can pull something out of this season and make something special out of it, just think of this will be one of the most amazing seasons you've ever seen as a Packer fan. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's likely. We know what the odds are. But let's hand solo this thing right now and say, never tell me the odds. Because we're Packer fans. We're going to go out. We're going to fight. We're going to kick. We're going to claw. We're going to play better football, I hope. And I hardly think we could play worse, knock on wood. But if they play better football, they manage the clock a little bit, the defense is giving up too many points now, but the offense is starting to score more. We still haven't broken that 30-point. We have trouble breaking that 30-point mark. But the defense in the second half only gave up 12 points. Obviously, the points we gave up had to do with major breakdowns. This is one of the things when you have major breakdowns, they're correctable. They're correctable. So I think really the biggest challenge we are up against right now is this injury situation. And Sean says, never say never. Anything can happen. Have faith in our Pack. Tim says, it's not your best team. It's your healthier. Yeah, and that's a correct. And I talked about I got this guy, Robert, staying downstairs. He's a doctoral candidate over here at ETSU, and he just came out of the Jacksonville Jaguars training room. And working with the guys down there, flying on the plane, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, the NFL is about who stays healthy. And Nick says, we need that dagger. Yeah, we do. And all it takes is one gritty performance. And this team needs a confidence boost. I thought the Tennessee Titans were the game to get it, and it was worse, You saw my prediction. I thought that the defense would do an adequate job. I knew that the Tennessee Titans were going to score points, but we didn't know that we were going to have some of the just absolute collapses that we have, and it's not going to get easier going forward. But Billy says 38 points on Washington. I'm calling it. There is your bold prediction. And remember, if you make a bold prediction on a show and you get it right, come back and pat yourself on the back by all means, because I probably won't be able to get back and catch up with them all. So I hear them. I try to mention them when I see them. I try to give you guys credit where credit is due. A lot of times I'll remember that it was made, but I just can't remember who made it because there's like 600. By the time I sit down and look at these, there's 500-600 comments. So, so it's going to be a tough game. But the tough games, I've never been a fan. Okay, and I'm going to mention Mike McCarthy, all right? Because I've been negative. I've been, I haven't been just like calling for his head. I'm not that kind of that's not the way I work. All things are more complicated than that, generally speaking. However, I have been, calling it into question as to whether he should still be with us moving forward. But I will say this. Mike McCarthy basically said that he revels in the toughest, that he expects the road to always be bumpy, and he really looks forward to that challenge. And you've all heard the saying, nothing in life that's worth anything is free, or however it's phrased. I'm not even in the right phrase yet. But tough games like this one, and if the Packers can pull out a win, even if maybe it's not glamorous, maybe it's not 38 points to, 21 or something like this. But if they can find a way to win in these kinds of adverse situations, it's, again, we talked about when you don't have anything to hang your hat on, you got to build something. And that would be just the ticket. One game at a time. It's one game at a time from here going out. And we will be talking about it for the rest of the week. Of course, it's Tuesday. Tomorrow we'll turn our focus, not tomorrow, but probably Thursday we'll talk about the injury report more because it comes out after the show. We'll be talking about what we need to do more specifically to beat the Washington Redskins. This is, again, this is a playoff team. This is a team that's very familiar with us. We just saw them last year. We were able to pull out a win. They are going to be chomping at the bit to get revenge upon us. This is just, Again, if you look at the situation we're in right now, it is dire, to say the least. The percentages are against us. The injuries are against us. The stadium will be against us, except that Packers travel really well. And we talked about that we're going to need you fans. But again, it will just be that much more satisfying a win if we can pull it off. All right? So I am not the kind to give up, and I refuse to do it. I won't do it today. I won't do it ever. Packers are, they're not in a good situation, but they definitely have some work to do. Let's hope they can do it. And obviously, they're the ones that have to walk out on the field and show some pride, right? Which I agree with. All right. Maurice says, we cheeseheads are all over the place. Maurice, I think you just friended me yesterday on my personal Facebook, and I don't mean to be pointing at you guys. I don't like doing that. And I'm forgetting whether you are from the Netherlands, I believe. So everybody give Maurice a little love from the Netherlands. I think I'm right about the Netherlands. So nice to have you aboard, and posted a cool video of, well, I won't get into that, I guess. But yeah, if you guys want a friend request me personally, that's fine. Just remember, I get a lot of them. I may not be able to, if I don't catch you right away, sometimes I just go through in mass and sign them up. But my name is Brady Augustine, and glad to have you aboard. Maurice, I do some goofy stuff on there. You got to take everything I say on my personal account with a grain of salt, because I used to do Snark of the Day. I tend to be somewhat sarcastic. I'm not super active on my personal account because I'm on here with you guys all the time, and I prefer this basically to, it's focused. So, all right, Vince, this is a good kind of quote to close with. Vince says, we are capable of much more with all our injured starters back. So hopefully we get a bunch of them. I'd like to see Jared Cook out there and see what he can do. I don't know that we're really getting that many. I think we're actually going to we'll probably be in the negative. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Waylon says never say die, and I agree. We will never say die. All right, die never, Packer fans. I want you guys to have a good day. I know it's only Tuesday, but tomorrow is Wednesday. We'll start moving toward another weekend. Hopefully, another chance for the Packers to start moving in the right direction for us. Maybe giving us a little something to be happy about. Of course, we want a big Packer win. If you haven't gotten on, go to firefan.com. Get your chance to win the Precious, our trophy, and prizes on firefan.com, and you just put in Get the Ring, all one word, for a promo code. It'll ask you about your favorite teams, your favorite sports, and then you will be notified when our new app comes out where you play live and you play with the Packers for the first time ever. It literally, you can go to Google Play. It doesn't exist yet. It's right now finalizing the beta testing and getting ready to go. So it is going to be great. All right. Well, folks, I appreciate you watching so much. I hope you have a great day. I will let you go, and we will talk again tomorrow. Same pack time, same pack place. Bye-bye.